At the end of the 2022-2023 season, Zlatan Ibrahimovic announced his decision to retire from football at the age of 41 after struggling with several injuries, including a knee injury throughout the season. In the match against Chievo at San Siro, he was given an emotional goodbye by Milan fans, club directors, and his teammates after the final whistle. And in a rare show of vulnerability, Zlatan was visibly emotional as he delivered his farewell speech and was forced to hold back tears as the Curva Sud put on a display paying tribute to him in his final game as an AC Milan player. On the 16th of May 2013, David Beckham announced that he would retire from his 20-year professional football career at the end of the 2012-13 season. Following his decision to retire at the end of the season, Beckham was given specially designed boots in the colors of the Union Jack to wear in his final game. These boots have the names of his wife and children stitched on them. In his last home game against Brest, Beckham was named captain and assisted Matutti's goal from a corner kick. Beckham was substituted after 80 minutes, receiving hugs from his fellow players and manager, as well as a standing ovation from the PSG fans. The 38-year-old former England captain left the pitch in tears after helping his team to victory in Paris. Just before the 2022 World Cup, Pique announced that he would retire from professional football at the age of 35 after the match against Almeria. This news shocked the entire media and Pique's teammates because retiring in the middle of the season is very unusual. He decided to quit because he was not ready to accept a substitute's role and would retire if that was the case. Starting as captain, he was substituted and received a standing ovation in the 84th minute as Barcelona won the match 2-0. Barcelona players wore special shirts for the match with Sempre written on the front and Pique's name and number on the back. Sempre meaning always in Catalan, with Pique's number 3 replacing the final E. Gerard Pique then broke down in tears as he said goodbye after his final home game at Camp Nou. He then took the microphone in the middle of the field and couldn't control his emotions when giving a short speech. Sir Alex's retirement plans emerged in October 2012 when his sister-in-law Bridget Robertson died, but Sir Alex announced he would step down as manager in December 2012. Bridget and his wife were said to be inseparable, and this became Sir Alex's concern. It was his wife who encouraged his decision to put family first after life in football. The news was kept from the media for several months before being published in May 2013, after Manchester United won their 13th Premier title under his leadership. He said goodbye to Old Trafford after 26 years in charge in fitting fashion, with his side scoring a late winning goal to beat Swansea 2-1. In an emotional moment inside Old Trafford, he emerged from the tunnel for the last time. The Scottish manager then lifted the Premier League trophy in emotional scenes at the Theatre of Dreams and gave his farewell speech in front of a tearful Stretford End. Marco Reus's extraordinary story with Borussia Dortmund ended at the end of the 2023-24 season after Reus announced his departure from Dortmund, ending his 12-year tenure with the team after both parties agreed not to extend his contract. In his final match with Dortmund, he scored a free kick and provided an assist in a 4-0 win over Darmstadt at Signal Iduna Park. As a tribute, one of the stands displayed a visualization of Reus's iconic number 11 shirt with the words Danke Marco, shown below to thank their captain for his service. The German international made sure to come and take part in the emotional moment between players and fans. As a sign of farewell, Reus paid for a beer for every single supporter who showed up at Signal Iduna Park. In July 2016, Bastian Schweinsteiger announced his decision to retire from international football, ending his 12-year international career with Germany. Schweinsteiger received an emotional goodbye in a friendly match against Finland and was cheered by the 30,121 fans at Borussia Park every time he had the ball, before being substituted in the 68th minute and replaced by Julian Weigl. He cried during a tribute event held for him when every fan at Borussia Park chanted "Football God" for him. After 17 seasons at the club, Gianluigi Buffon decided to leave Juventus and continue his career at PSG. He bid a tearful goodbye to Juventus when he played his final game against Hellas Verona. Juventus led 2-0 when Buffon was substituted in the 60th minute in his 656th appearance for the club. He handed over his captain's armband to Claudio Marchisio, then hugged several of his teammates and rival players as he left the field crying and receiving loud applause. He then walked around the perimeter, shaking hands with supporters in the front row. In a crucial match against Aston Villa, Liverpool found themselves 1-0 down, a result that would dash their hopes of securing a Champions League spot. However, Roberto Firmino, in his last appearance at Anfield, emerged as a hero. Coming off the bench, Firmino scored an equalizer in the 89th minute, which saved 1 point for his team. After the match, the crowd waved their t-shirts and shouted, "Sí, señor," in tribute to the Brazilian striker. The emotional atmosphere was palpable as Firmino's teammates formed a guard of honor for him. This scene made Firmino shed tears because of the support he received from the fans. Liverpool supporters immortalized Firmino's legacy by installing a mural near the stadium. As a sign of farewell, Firmino gave gift boxes to more than 200 people. The next day after the game, he presented club employees, teammates, and coaches with gift boxes containing autographed t-shirts and perfume made by the man himself. Angel Di Maria said his final goodbyes to PSG fans after his contract expired with news of a move to Juventus. He played in the final game of the season at home against FC Metz and scored his final goal for PSG. And in emotional scenes, Di Maria burst into tears as he was substituted in the second half, with his teammates gave him a final hug, standing ovation and guard of honor as he left the Parc des Princes pitch for the last time. Andres Iniesta bid an emotional farewell to Barcelona after 22 glorious years at the Camp Nou. He played his final game for Barcelona in a 1-0 win over Real Sociedad, and it was a fitting end for the 34-year-old who lifted the trophy for the 9th time. Barcelona boss Ernesto Valverde felt it was appropriate to give the midfielder the farewell he deserved by replacing him late in the match with Paco Alcácer. Andres Iniesta broke down in tears as he addressed Barcelona players and fans after his final match for the club. Speaking to supporters on the pitch after the final whistle, Iniesta said he was leaving as a real man, having spent so long playing for the Catalan Giants. In May 2017, Francesco Totti played his final game for Roma and ended a memorable 25-year career at Roma. Having made his debut for his boyhood club at the age of 16, 40-year-old Totti said goodbye to his fans at the Stadio Olimpico, moments after Roma beat Genoa 3-2 to secure Champions League qualification for next season. After the game was over, it was all about Totti walking the pitch again, this time with his family, and finally taking the microphone to address the fans. Totti spoke about his love for the fans and how he is scared of what might happen in the future. Cesar Azpilicueta confirmed his departure from Chelsea with an emotional message after more than a decade at Stamford Bridge. As a farewell sign before his move to Atletico Madrid, the Spain international gave an emotional interview to express his gratitude for his time in London. C'est fini, with 2 words in French, a tearful Iker Casillas ended his farewell statement to Real Madrid fans. He has served as goalkeeper and captain for 16 seasons. Sitting alone in front of the media gathered in the Bernabeu press room, the 34-year-old choked up several times as he thanked Real Madrid for giving him everything. In an interview with the newspaper, his parents said their son had been forced out of the club by President Florentino Perez. His decision to leave Real Madrid is believed to have been triggered by the expected arrival of David De Gea, who ultimately failed to join due to document problems on deadline day. Nearly 22 years since Arsene Wenger first stepped onto the Highbury pitch, the 68-year-old ended the day with an emotional speech in front of the Emirates crowd. After failing to secure a place in the Champions League, Wenger confirmed he would step down from his post at the end of the season. The long-serving boss was given a guard of honor ahead of his final game against Burnley. After receiving a long chorus of "One Arsene Wenger" chant from the club's supporters who were wearing "Merci Arsene" t-shirts, Arsene Wenger gave an emotional speech on the Emirates pitch for the final time. The night of the 28th of May 2023 will be one that Barca fans will never forget. the night they saw Sergio Busquets and Jordi Alba play at Camp Nou for the last time. They both started the game and were replaced respectively in the 84th and 79th minutes and received a standing ovation from everyone in the stadium. Busquets and Alba emerged with the Spanish Super Cup and La Liga trophies that season and were presented with awards by the players and coaches before club president Joan Laporte presented them with videos of the most memorable moments of their careers on a giant screen. In the summer of 2021, Lionel Messi had to leave Barcelona after Barcelona was unable to register him due to La Liga's salary cap rules. With a broken heart, Leo Messi said goodbye to FC Barcelona in an emotional press conference accompanied by his family, members of the Barca first team, and in which he declared his eternal love for the club. The Argentinian appeared at the Auditory 1899 at the Camp Nou with an emotional expression, and with tears in his eyes, he began a press conference that will always be remembered. Furthermore, Messi dedicated words to the fans who had supported him until his last day. Paulo Dybala, who has spent 7 seasons at Juventus, came on as a 78th-minute substitute on an emotional night for him. His contract was due to expire at the end of June 2022, and after reaching an agreement in December 2021, the club withdrew the offer and let him leave on a free transfer. Juventus fans were unhappy with his departure, as various Italian newspapers reported that every time President Andrea Agnelli or the club's directors appeared on screen, they were booed loudly, blaming them for Dybala's exit. After the match, the players threw Dybala into the air, and his emotions overflowed until he cried after playing his last match in a Juventus shirt. Hector Bellerin decided to join Real Betis in 2021 to fulfill his father's dream of seeing him in the Betis shirt. Bellerin has enjoyed an impressive season at Real Betis, and his love for the club was clear after their final home game of the season against Granada. The right-back's loan period ends in June 2022, and he couldn't hold back his tears after the match ended. After a warm hug with his 2 best friends on the team, Borja Iglesias and Aitor Ruibal, his family joined him on the pitch, and he had a long hug with his father. Frank Ribery said a tearful goodbye to football after Salernitana's Serie A match against Spezia. He joined Salernitana last season, but has made just 1 substitute appearance this season due to persistent knee injuries that forced him to retire. Ribery announced his retirement at the age of 39 and could not hold back his tears when greeting fans at the Arichi Stadium. On a sun-soaked Sunday at Anfield, Jurgen Klopp managed Liverpool for the last time. Thousands of fans lined the streets as the team bus made its way to Anfield, flares tinting the air with Liverpool red. A mural of Klopp's name adorned one stand before the match, and fans waved normal one flags, referencing his description of himself at his first press conference as Liverpool manager. He was serenaded throughout the match, especially for the last 10 minutes when fans increased the decibels to such an extent that Klopp could no longer hold back the tears. Television cameras panned to his wife, Ula, who was also crying in the stands. At the final whistle, Klopp hugged his players and some opposition players too. Captain Virgil van Dijk looked almost crying in his arms. Trent Alexander-Arnold, who has not played for any other manager, was in tears. The stadium remained full after the final whistle as fans continued to listen to Klopp's farewell speech, and You'll Never Walk Alone, the club's anthem, was played around the stadium for the last time for Jurgen Klopp. Talking about emotional stories, you will be moved by the emotional story of Jamie Vardy, who started his journey from working in a factory and making his professional debut at the age of 25 to becoming Premier League champion and top scorer a few years later.